Big Boar Barbecue presents Seven Rivers Racing on KQEG TV with Dan the Voice Dyker, Billy Doc Niles, and Paul the Statman Riker. Brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem, in La Crosse on 3rd Street downtown and George and Gillette Street. Big Boar Barbecue, now that's a mouthful. By Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialist, serving the La Crosse area since 1929. Carey Heating and Air Conditioning.
Welcome in, race fans. Seven Rivers Racing, KQEG TV, along with Paul the Penguin Reichert, Billy Doc Niles, and Radio Man Dan Dyker. Lots to show you this week. A huge win for Nick Mergic of the Crosse Speedway, and a bigger face plant for Dan Fry at the Tomah Sparta Speedway. We're going to let you know about that here in a minute. Billy Doc Niles, we couldn't be doing this without some fantastic sponsors.
Oh, yes. First of all, we got to thank our title sponsor, Big Boar Barbecue. Yes. Once again, voted #1 in the county for best barbecue and best caterer. Thank you very much for being our title sponsor.
I will be out there at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway on Saturday. I will be DJing and emceeing the 608 Piston Pounders' second annual Fairgrounds car show that Big Boar Barbecue will be a huge part of.
And this show comes to you from Big Boar Barbecue next week. Come join us as we tape it next Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. You can join in on the fun and watch Paul, the legendary Paul Reichert. Feast. He's got to sit 2 tables away from us. Keep your fingers away from him.
He's wearing oven mittens.
Yes.
Don't believe the hype, people.
Can't wait.
Believe it. You look at our picture on our header. He's eating corn. People are afraid to put fingers near him. But anyhow, we're going to be taping the show next Wednesday out at Big Boar Barbecue. Stop in 6 o'clock. We'll be taping. You want to say hi, stop in and eat with us. That's great. Come on out and see us.
Alrighty, so let's give you the Crosse Speedway results from last weekend. Going to roll the last 2. We were going to try to break this down a little bit more, but we've got so much to get to. We're just going to show the last 2 laps right here. Nick Panitsky, Billy Doc Niles, has an insurmountable lead all the way through this race. Where does Jacob Gady come from?
I think that was Nick Mergic.
I mean, where does Gady come from?
Gady did a phenomenal job working his way through the field, and he was the first of the fast guys to break free. And I mean, he even said so in his post-race interview. He had a rocket ship. The only problem was his teammate was just too far out to catch him. He took it down to about 3-4 car lengths by the checkered flag. Couple more laps, it would have been Gady's feature. But congratulations to Nick Mergic on his first weekly feature at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway.
Nice run for Tony Dykston as well. First race he had this year. Steve Carlson, by the way, finishes 3rd, and Nick Panitsky 4th. So now Carlson is behind Panitsky by 1 point heading into next week. Sportsman had an interesting race, Billy.
Yeah, Chris Webber would get to the lead from the back at just past the halfway point, and a yellow flag. Sam Niles takes a little spin cycle over in between turn 3 and 4, bunches up the field, gives Jeff Thompson and Tom Lethe a shot at Webber. Not going to happen. Webber will hold them at bay. Webber will cross the line ahead of Thompson and ahead of Lethe, and he'll stretch out his point lead, I believe, to about 13 points over Lethe and 14 over Thompson. So this is a fun one to watch. If Lethe or Thompson could get in front of Webber at some point in a feature, this could really tighten up here towards the end of the season.
Last week at the Tomah Sparta Speedway, Andy Moore blew his motor, and from what we hear, we have seen the final year of the 29 of Andy Moore, as Adam Moore is going to be putting his motor in Andy's car, but good thing they did it now, not last week.
Yeah, Adam got out to a good lead in the hobby stock feature here, but point leader Caleb Hardy slowly ate away into Adam's lead, got down to within 2 car lengths, but Adam held on to claim the victory.
And, of course, that point battle still being led by Caleb Hardy. Street stock started 24 in the feature, Doc.
Yes, they did. And if you watched Chalmers and Larson come through that field, they did it in an impressive fashion. Dan Fry would jump out to a big lead here and actually do a masterful job of getting through traffic. But so did Chalmers, and a yellow flag with 5 laps to go bunches the field up. It's Chalmers and Fry side by side the last few laps. Chalmers will break free with 2 to go, end up taking his 4th feature victory of the season. Big note here is Larson looked like he blew a tire with about 2 laps to go. Ends up finishing deep in the pack. He goes from having a 5-point lead to a 17-point deficit heading into their next race.
22-point swing. To the minivans we go. Starting in the back row was Rob Stanfield, your point leader. He was lined up next to my daughter Katie Diker in these 32-ounce Aztec. After she wrecked the van in practice, struggled through the heat race, she did finish last. That front tire looked like it needed repairs pretty bad. She blew it, finished in the rim.
That front tire gave up. Yeah.
That whole front right gave up. She will be back, though, for the next minivan race. And our two drivers you're going to see right here will as well. Been a while since we've seen Rob Stanfield. He's won the first and only 4 features in the minivan class of the Crosse Speedway this year. This night belonged to Matt Moore. He held off Rob Stanfield by about this much in the heat race, and then it came down to about that same margin in the feature, and Matt Moore comes back out in the number 9, and he capitalizes. Straight stock said, I love the format of the tag team match.
Yeah, it kind of looked like, that relay race you see at track and field events where one driver runs 3 laps, then they had to find his partner, tag him, and he ran the other 3 laps. That was a great race, and I think that fit the No Limits Racing. The teammates, Clayton Hessig and John Burbach, claimed the victory in that tag team race.
So again, if you didn't get to see the whole thing, like they used to do in the tag team, your partner was parked in turn 1, you had to bump him, then he would go. Here, the first 4 or 5, or was it 5 or it was 5, I think
5.
it was.
Yeah,
5, yep.
Take off, they run 3 laps, their partners are parked on the front straight, but just up to the left of the flag stand. Then they have to take off, but then they have to catch up to the leaders, and Billy Dock was in the pits the entire time. That was not an easy feat for the drivers.
No, it wasn't. You had Dreskowski getting bounced off the wall. Burbach did a masterful job of tracking down Cheeto, giving him the little love tap. I mean, he broke free, and before Chalmers could even get his tag made, Burbach already had almost a straightaway lead and end up taking the win for No Limits Racing.
This weekend, it's going to be late model sportsman hobby stocks. Hornets are back in. It's going to be pre-race kids rides and the emergence of the Diker Disco Machine.
Disco.
What do you think that's going to be?
I can't wait to see what that's like.
You better have some strobe lights on that bad boy.
World famous trailer race of destruction.
Yes.
Cole shows he was selling a pickup truck for way dirt cheap this week and gave away a 30-foot free trailer. I'm like, I want to buy that. I want to enter this thing. So my daughter's crew chief, Dave True Jr., is going to be powering this thing for the world-famous trailer race of destruction, which means, next week we probably won't have a guest because it takes us forever to cover all those highlights.
Yeah, it does.
No, we're going to third segment next week is going to, wait a minute, we're going to be on location next week.
Big Boar Barbecue next week. We love coming out there every year. I don't think Jesse's given us the rep sign yet, has he?
Yes, he has.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, we only got about 30 seconds left.
In the next segment, Big Boar Barbecue, taping out there Wednesday. We want you to join us. Stay tuned. Total highlights coming up next on 7 Rivers Racing.
Want to keep your employees happy? Buy them all lunch. Hi, Jerry here at Big Boar Barbecue. We cater lunches all the time for businesses big and small, 10 to 500. We can handle it. Give us a call and we'll help you figure out a great menu. Let's face it, good people are hard to find, so we can help you keep the ones you got. My grandpa used to say, you want to keep someone happy? Feed them barbecue. Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem.
Just come on down for the best food in town at Big Boar Barbecue.
And online at BigBoarBBQ.com.
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that actually matter.
Hey, Dave.
Like giving Jeff his ladder back before he takes it back. Or where to put the food when you both get the groceries. Or the doggy door that just became a raccoony door. Whatever you're worrying about, it won't be this. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your 2018 American Standard Building a Higher Standard Award winner. Call Carey today for your free estimate.
Welcome back, race fans. 7 Rivers Racing, KQEG TV, Billy Doc Niles, Paul the Penguin Riker, and myself, Radio Man Dan Diker. Of course, we're going to be taping this show live next Wednesday at Big Boar Barbecue. Matt Henderson will be there with his super late model that he got from Johnny Sauter and his late model. And then I also understand that Cheeto Hessig and Smalls Burbach and Steve Brosda are going to have their street stocks out there as well. It's going to be a fantastic taping. Will we need an air conditioner, Billy Doc Niles?
I don't know, but if we do, we should be calling Carey Heating and Air Conditioning. The weather is kind of iffy here. It might be nice, leave the windows open. It might be warm, close them up. But if you got a problem with that air conditioning, give Carey Heating and Air Conditioning a call. Fansarena.com, Epic Media and Vinyls, and Back 40 Wraps, all sponsors of this year's TV program. We can't thank them all enough for joining us this year.
Tomah Sparta Speedway is where we're going to go next after Jazzy Meyer had won her second race during the Tim Meyer Memorial a couple of weeks ago. A newcomer to the Tomah Sparta Speedway who's been at the Crosse Speedway this year by the name of Rob Schleifer, the number 80 car. Almost pulled off the victory as we've seen him do at La Crosse in that mighty fast machine, but he got beat by the Joker, Sean McCarthy. Watch the last two of this one right here. The lights went down. McCarthy's bottom side starts to light up, and he had a very, very successful night here at the Tomah Sparta Speedway. He held off Tim Murphy, Mason Morphy. He held off Jazzy Meyer. Rob Schleifer was coming, but in the end, it was Sean McCarthy.
Is this his first career feature victory?
First career feature victory, and of course, I think that may have been his first stop ever at the Tomah Sparta Speedway, and I guarantee
he'll be back.
He will be back. The modifieds. Wow, do we have a good one here, Paul?
Yeah, Rick DeVito led for quite a while. He put on a great show, but then slowly coming towards him was Paul Brown, the reigning champion. Got by him with 5 laps to go, but then he had to deal with the wild man, Brad Wiles, there in the final few laps. But Brown held on to claim his second win of the season.
That was a nice job, too. Had Paul Brown started the season, minus those 2 races where he had some family issues, he would be right there in the point standings. Excuse me. Sportsman came out, Billy Doc Niles, and it was the return. I tell you what, when Devin Schmidt out of Minnesota shows up at Tomah, he makes the other Sportsman drivers go, why didn't I bring my car?
Yeah, it's like the Dick Trickle of Sportsman when he pulls in there. Hey, and this one comes to Greenwood, to Troy DeBratz in a new car, and Lonnie Wood Sr. Lonnie Wood Sr. would have some mechanical problems early in the race. That would put DeBratz out front all by himself. David Borntrager would power past DeBratz to take the lead. And a few laps later, here come Devin Schmidt. Schmidt would do his best to try and run down Borntrager. Couldn't do it at the end. Just a couple of as you see here in the video, just a couple of car lengths away. Borntrager went up, taking the feature and ringing that bell.
And I tell you what, both Malin Borntrager in the 14 and David Borntrager in the 9. Every time that they've shown up this year, Paul Reichert, they're very impressive. They have now put themselves out there as the guys to beat.
Oh, yes. David's leading the points in the Sportsman by 35 over Lonnie Wood. And, hey, Marlon, hey, anytime that 14 car, even if he loses a bumper, he'll be competitive.
Yeah, and I think David Borntrager went down to the Dells here and won a feature about a week or two.
Yeah, last week, I believe.
Yeah, last week, the powerful number 9. To the hobby stocks we go, and Joel Geiser, if you saw Joel get beat by Jason Bolster by this much last week at La Crosse, Joel put it on his Facebook, the only thing I care about is what to wear after I win a race. Okay, after getting beat at La Crosse or at Tomah, he had a pretty good strong car in this one here, but then you had the likes of Raymond Hardy and Mike Krieger out of Sparta. Mike Krieger in that powerful 34 machine just took everybody to task on this one right here, and as you see in the last 2 here, he ends up holding off Hardy over the last 2 laps, but wait, post-race inspection DQ'd Krieger, and Hardy picked up his 3rd win of the year, and he's right there in the point standings now.
Only 11 behind Andy Moore, so it's going to get interesting.
Andy Moore, as a matter of fact, hits the green flag during qualifying last week, gets to pole number 2, boom, they went the motor that fast.
Yeah, and we talked about that earlier in the segment, that the motor is coming out of Adam's car to go into Andy's car.
So Adam knows that Andy's in a shot for a point championship. Hardy is right there, so we may not be seeing the orange 29 at La Crosse anymore. Mini stocks. Oh, this was a good one.
Yeah, Paul Finch would take the early lead, but from the back comes Tim Finstead, takes the lead on lap 4. tries to stretch out the league, but Jefferson regular James Bowling comes bowling through. Like how I use that there.
That was good.
On lap 7, it begins closing down on Finstead's lead. Not quite going to do it, just a couple lengths short. In the end, Finstead would take a clean sweep on the evening. Bowling would finish second.
Tim Finstead, who I've now given the nickname the Traveler too, that he likes, and his wife said that is fantastic, told us he's been racing 5 different racetracks this summer alone. That's a lot of hauling.
Yeah, it is. Oh, wow. That's back to old CWI days there. That's amazing.
5 states this summer that he's been racing. 6 shooters were fully loaded at Tomah this past week.
Yes, they were. Austin Schott, who, where did you say he found that car from?
That was the old Alex Rude 6-cylinder car from the Crosse Speedway.
Yeah, he ran well, led the early going in the feature, but then came Dan Fry, coming from the back to take the lead in lap 5, but then a couple laps later, Matt Moore got by Austin to take over second, and it became a Fry versus Moore shootout like it has been in the 6-shooter division. Moore did everything he could, got to within the bumper of Fry, but Fry held on to claim the victory.
So our last event of the day was the Chaos Outhouse race.
Poor Dan Fry.
Pretty much everything happened during the Outhouse race at La Crosse and out to Tomah Sparta Speedway. The very first driver out is Dan Fry. And as you see, he's going to roll up. Now, I'm explaining to the fans here how the process is. Park your car, hop out of your car, go grab the TP, come back in, and then take off. It's timed. Well, first off, Fry didn't put it in park. Went and got the TP, and as you see right here, there's a face plant. That was a hard one.
Good thing he had a helmet on. That could have really hurt.
That was a hard one right there. So then Matt Moore goes in, spends like 5 minutes with his TP flying on the top of the porta potty.
How do you do that?
I don't know, but I want to know. Well, maybe I don't want to know. He came out with his underwear on a pole. He was swinging them around before he got back.
Oh, my God.
Just curious, are you sure those were his underwear?
I'm hoping they were. They were quite large.
Yeah.
That's the big guy. In the end, it was Cameron Riggs beating Tim Murphy in the Chaos event, the Porta Potty event at the Tomah Sparta Speedway.
Yeah, and how about Brad Wiles? He even got in on the action.
Doing a modified. Had he not killed it,
yeah, he would have won it, yeah.
He may have won that thing. Billy got another big weekend coming up here at Daytona.
Action continues this Friday night with modified Sportsman, Hobby Stocks, Hornets, and 6-shooters all in action. Also, the Wisconsin Fast Track Legends and the Wisconsin Mighty Bandos Traveling Series will make a return to Daytona. Gates open at 4 o'clock, qualifying at 6. First green flag drops at 7:30. For more information, check out Tomah Sparta Speedway or the 2000.com or the 2019 schedule of events, or you can call them.
Again, Bandoleros and Legends are back this weekend. Next weekend, since I've been the voice of the traveling series now for about 2 or 3 years, we're going to bring in the Mid-American Stock Car Series. That's going
to be a fun one to watch.
A huge one at Tomah. When we come back, let's talk La Crosse Speedway. Let's talk hobby stocks. We're going to talk to the number 3 of Taylor Dobbs next on KQEG TV.
You want barbecue, but she doesn't? What do? Hi, Jerry here at Big Boar Barbecue. We know not everyone wants barbecue. That's why we feature so much more, like our fried chicken, Philly steak sandwich, meatloaf, great burgers, salads, wraps, and more. So keep peace in the family, stop in and try something from our extensive menu. It's so much cheaper than a divorce. Big Boar and more, Highway 16 West Salem.
Just come on down for the best food in town at Big Boar Barbecue.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that actually matter.
Hey, Dave.
Like giving Jeff his ladder back before he takes it back. Or where to put the food when you both get the groceries. Or the doggy door that just became a raccoony door. Whatever you're worrying about, it won't be this. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your 2018 American Standard Building a Higher Standard Award winner. Call Carey today for your free estimate.
Welcome back, race fans. Summers Racing KQEG TV, brought to you by Big Bar Barbecue, and I'm going to be spending some time with those folks on Saturday as I'm going to be DJing the 608 Piston Pounders second annual Crosse Speedway Fairgrounds huge car show.
Hey, and we're going to be there on site next week for the TV show.
So I get Big Bore on Saturday. We're going to be taping the show out there on Wednesday. And we're going to come back and see how many fingers we don't have. Well, no, we told Paul that next time we went back to Big Bore to have barbecue, he was wearing oven mitts.
And he's sitting 2 tables away from us.
You don't want to see that.
You've seen the picture last year. It was ugly.
Taylor Dobbs is our guest in studio. He's been running a hobby stock for a while.
Put that finger away, Paul.
We've seen some pretty nasty stuff during the hobby stock races. It doesn't compare to what that man can do to a knife, fork, and spoon. It makes me look like I was raised in Romper Room on PBS. Formerly a Hornet driver, which it was only not even 8 or 9 years ago, but I cannot remember you racing in a Hornet, so it wasn't that long.
Yeah, it was honestly only probably for about 4 seasons. You know, I really probably didn't start, you know, ringing the bell to people until after a few years of doing it and recognizing the car colors that I've carried throughout my whole racing career. That's what a lot of fans and people kind of think of when they see my number 3 out on the track. They think of that color scheme and it sticks out.
What got you into racing, first of all? If I remember correctly, didn't your dad used to race years ago?
Yeah, my dad, he used to race back in the day and stuff. And
I thought I recognized that, yeah.
So how it all started is he's like, well, I got this customer vehicle in on trade or whatever. They don't want to pay to fix it or whatever. It was an old Hornet car. Is actually a motor swap was what they were going to use this car for. Well, it turned out to be the Malum's Hornet car, so I'm like, Dad, let's get it, make it in a Hornet car and race it. So that's where the journey began.
Nice.
So you did Hornets for 4 years. You got to learn the action track quarter mile. Talk about the decision to jump into what was then the Thunderstocks.
The idea was just something higher up to move up in the divisions, and just something with more power. You know, I just wanted to see how far I could get, kind of advance through the divisions at the Speedway. So that was kind of what made me want to move up.
And we learned, interestingly enough, during the radio show that we had Taylor Dobbs on this week, it's been the only Pontiac of that style I think I can ever remember, the Crosse Speedway. But its former owner, I remember, from the Crosse Speedway.
Yeah, J.R. Turtelot. He ran that car for a few seasons out at Crosse Speedway, and you know, I found out that he was selling it, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll buy it, put it together, and came out and ran it.
Because JR went to race dirt in a B-Mod at MTS. Then he also had, what was that little green car he had? Was that a Probe?
Oh.
It was kind of like Born, it says, but I don't think it was a Probe. I don't know if it was an Eagle Talon or what that was. Yeah, it might have been a Mitsubishi or something, but then, of course, he went on and you took the car on, which I remember the first year you brought that on, I'm like, man, this thing is spectacular. Even to this day, 4 or 5 years later, it still does not look that bad.
Well, that means a lot, because to me, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, man. It's seen better days.
I told him during the radio show, it doesn't look like Adam Moore's, it doesn't look like Brandon Gallagher's, Jason Bolster's.
It's totally different. Talk about the competition in the hobby stocks, because you're a small group, anywhere from 7 to 10 to 12 drivers at any given time. But man, it's a competitive, fun group to watch. You guys always put on a good show.
Oh yeah, the competition in this division is just outstanding. I mean, you got Jason Bolster, Adam Moore, you got all these veteran drivers in this hobby stock division, and to you know, finish third place maybe behind 2 guys like that is a good night, because they have tons of experience, you know, and just everybody's so neck and neck in speed, so it's all about getting the spots to try to advance through, and yeah, the competition just outstanding.
And you've won some good races against these guys, whether it's a feature or a heat race. You've ended up in the checkers.
I have. This season I haven't been able to pull it off, but the last couple of seasons, the first couple seasons, I was able to do it. So being able to fight off veteran drivers like that and carry the checkered flag at the end of the night, that means a lot. You know, I brought it up on the radio show. Now, you probably don't know this because you didn't race that quarter mile like this. 4 tricky things about that quarter mile. Number 1, you get up in turn 1 too high, you're done. You're going to get passed by 4 or 5 people underneath you. Number 2, it's where the tire gets put out there in turn 1, which can be tricky. Number 3, of course, is the mad dip
that you got to go through. Number 4, you're coming into hot in turn 2. You're going to meet the tires. So how do you, after all these years, still not master turns 1 and 2?
It just, for me personally, if I have somebody in front of me, I'm geared up because I want to run them down and try to see if I can get around to pass them. Well, in the process of doing that, I have a tendency to notice that I overdrive that corner trying to keep up with them. So you really have to be like, okay, I have somebody in front of me, but I need to just hit my marks, be smooth, because the smoother you are running your own race, the more chance you're going to have to actually chase that person down.
Tell me Joel Geiser doesn't want that last lap of the dash back after last Saturday.
Man, Jason Bolster just simply stole. I wonder if he's out of jail from that move yet. Stole that away from him there.
You see his comment on our Facebook page?
Yeah.
It's real simple. This makes me sad.
But the thing is it's just like turns 1. It's turn 2. You leave that door open, and someone's going to go underneath you, and they are just going to be gone.
Yeah, absolutely. That inside lane, you get that inside lane, you have to protect it, because I've found myself on the receiving end of, sliding up a little bit, coming in the corner. If you leave that door there, they're going to get the inside on you, and once you're stuck up there, you're stuck.
Future of Taylor Dobbs racing at the Crosse Speedway goes where?
Honestly, I've got a lot on my plate right now, so this 2019 might be my last year for now.
What?
Ooh.
Is this breaking news here?
Did you gonna make that sound? Make the sound.
Make the sound.
There
we go.
Sounds like a.
All right, so we got less than a minute here. Talk about your sponsors that are helping you out in 2019.
D&D Racing, Bernie's Equipment, 2 guys in a dumpster. They've been with me since I started, and then Tri-State Auto Center came on board this year.
Travis is a good guy. Go out and see Travis, get a good used car, and he's got some really cool sheds they build out there too. You can actually live in one of those things. That's pretty nice. Now, Taylor Dobbs currently sitting 4th in the hobby stock points. It's going to be a nice wrestle to see whether he ends up in 4th or 5th this year.
Yeah, pretty good battle there. Alex Rude right there, only 17 points separating the two.
That's going to be a good battle to watch before we're at the end of 2019. I want to thank Taylor Dobbs for coming in. For Paul Reichert, Billy Docknell, Jesse, who's the man behind the big screen. I'm Radio Man Dan Dyker. We greatly appreciate joining us in the program. More to come next week right here on KQEG TV.
You've been watching 7 Rivers Racing on KQEG TV with Dan the Voice Dyker, Billy Doc Niles, and Paul the Statman Reichert. Brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem, in La Crosse on 3rd Street downtown and George and Gillette Street. Big Boar Barbecue. Now that's a mouthful. By Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialist, serving the La Crosse area since 1929. Carey Heating and Air Conditioning. Thanks for watching 7 Rivers Racing on KQEG TV.
Want to keep your employees happy? Buy them all lunch. Hi, Jerry here at Big Boar Barbecue. We cater lunches all the time for businesses big and small, 10 to 500. We can handle it. Give us a call and we'll help you figure out a great menu. Let's face it, good people are hard to find, so we can help you keep the ones you got. My grandpa used to say, you want to keep someone happy? Feed them barbecue. Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem.
Just come on down for the best food in town at Big Boar Barbecue.
And online at BigBoarBBQ.com.